Lord, we give you thanks for your blessings today. Thank you for having kept us. Thank you for taking Brother Tony and his entourage down from Kingston safely. Lord, as he presents, Lord, give him courage, give him whatever it takes to present, give him clarity. I pray, Lord, that you'll be with all these gadgets, that you'll help them to work well. Be with the online team. Help, Lord, that the message will go forward via the YouTube clearly, so that all those who hear will be blessed. So lead on in these proceedings, we pray, and may your people learn how to better take care of themselves, both for prevention as well as reversing it, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. Kelly?
Sorry. Thank you for the introduction. Right. Thank you for the introduction, Sister Joy. I'm going to put on my if I'm up here talking, you have to keep quiet. Respect, please. Okay? Thank you for the introduction, Sister Joy. As I said, we've come all the way from England, so that makes it even further. And with my cousin who is from and my driver, we're anxious to get back into Kingston and take you on this journey. And first of all, I need to thank Liston. Liston, who you might know by a different name. He's known as Fitzroy Grant. He grew up and he lives in England. And he said, Tony, church, a secret. A church near to Manning's High School got into near school. And I said, I can't do that. That would be rude and impolite and out of order. The Seventh Adventist Church have arranged this through Joy and her husband. And where's Karen? On her way. And I couldn't just suddenly say, no, I can't have it here. I have to go into near. If anything, they need to come here. So if they're coming here, they're coming here. Right, so moving swiftly on. My name is Tony Kelly. People talking still, you see, and I don't like when people talking when I'm talking. I'll say once more, once I start talking, the people might want to hear what I have teaching background, so it has been instilled in me from an early age. I did a presentation yesterday at over by near to Ocho Rios, and all the other presenters before me, everybody was here chatting. So when I got up there, I said, no. I don't come all the way from England for you people to just sit there chatting while I'm talking. You need to listen to what is being said. So I'll say once more, I hope I don't have to say it again, please. We're all adults here. My name is Tony Kelly, and I'm a diabetes ambassador or activist, and my strapline is our health is our wealth. And I'll start, ladies and gentlemen. You will soon find out why that is. You hear it being referred to. A lot of people know of it as an author. And there's somebody at the back on the phone. Jesus. So if you have to take the call, could you mind going outside, please? You will hear it referred to in the textbooks and on the internet and so on. And some of you might know it as an autoimmune disease or a non-communicable disease, NCD, or an acute disease or a chronic disease. When I was trained back in England 12 years ago by the well-known charity Diabetes UK, they said to me, Tony, you do not have a disease. You have a medical condition. And that's what you will hear me say throughout this presentation. You might know it as a disease. I'm not telling you to change it, but I will constantly refer to it as a medical condition. Are you with me? Right, okay. So, 20 years ago, and before I got to 20 years ago, growing up in Whitehall, St. Thomas, I saw relatives of mine and other people in the district. Some were completely completely blind. Some had strokes. Some had heart attacks. Some had kidney failure, which meant they had to leave the country area to go into Kingston to go onto the dialysis machine for renal or kidney failure. Some had chopping off of toes and feet. And then lastly, some of my relatives died prematurely. I'm amongst a Jamaican audience, gone too soon. In England, some of them say gone too quickly. Me say, you know, come from the Caribbean. We say gone too soon, okay? I'm going to engage you a lot, you know. You're not just going to sit down there and be doing all the talking. So you have to get ready for that. So I would ask these relatives back in Whitehall, St. Thomas, what is the matter with them as an 8, 9, 10-year-old? Fast, nosy, inquisitive. And all they would do is say to me, they have a touch of sugar. They never say they have sugar. They say a touch of sugar. So they minimized or trivialized or downplayed the serious medical condition by referring to it as a touch of sugar. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to understand diabetes is more than a touch of sugar. Are you with me on that? Right, okay. So I went to Micro Teachers College and taught in the high schools in Kingston, including Holy Childhood High School, and then came back to Britain, because remember I was born here in Britain, 1979. That's the year I went back to Britain. My wife started noticing 19 years ago, this Christmas 20 years, the 4 T's, which are the classic symptoms that the person might have diabetes. T for tired, T for toilet, T for thirsty, and T for thinner, which is losing weight. Tired, toilet, thirsty, thinner. I was in denial. So I would get up 3 or 4 times during the night to go and use the toilet. And my wife would say, something is wrong with you. But this is a gender thing. At the first sign of a twitch, an ache, or a pain, women make a beeline to go and see their GP. That is fact. Men, at the first sign of an ache, a twitch, or a pain, they go to the rumba, they go and play a domino, they go and play cricket, they go and watch the football. Men, on the whole, are not in touch with their feelings and their emotions. They, like the ostrich, similar to the ostrich, bury its head in the sand, hoping the problem will go away. Ladies and gentlemen, yes or no, does the problem go away? No. So I was in denial, but eventually I went one morning with a sample of urine to the GP surgery before any breakfast. The GP put the dipstick in. She held it up to the light and it changed color, and she said, you have blood glucose or blood sugar, it's the same thing, in your urine, and it shouldn't be there. But for a definitive answer, I'm going to send off from your arm a sample of your blood, and it will come back and tell me whether you have type 2 diabetes. It did as an early Christmas present, 20 choice to make. Do I continue to eat the 7, 8, 9 tablespoons of rice and peas, which I love, and the whole heap of carbohydrates, and the hard-dough bread, and this, that, and the other? Or do I make what we call the lifestyle or behavioral changes in order to keep the complications at bay? And that's exactly what I did and what I'll be taking you, etc. So my aunt from Bath, St. Thomas, Jamaica, came in 1952. If somebody could move, because I don't want this thing here to keep showing. Could somebody move the plant, because it's preventing these from being shown? Is anybody able to move this plant here? This plant that's preventing, because there are going to be other images, and this plant will get in the way of what's going to be on this screen. Thank you. Now this plant right here. Is it big enough to, can you move it? So while she's moving it, 1952, no, move it still more. My aunt from Bath, St. Thomas, Jamaica, went to England to train as a state-registered nurse, okay? My mother on the left went to England in 1953, the following year, again to train as a state-registered nurse. Another sister journeyed to England in 1956 to train as a nurse. So within one family, 3 nurses from Bath. So I call them the 3 degrees. Some of you might remember that well-known pop group. And I do that for a reason. Some people say, well, why you have to big up your family? It is about changing the narrative. We've got to let our children, our grandchildren, our nieces and nephews know that black people contributed to rebuilding Britain. Are you with me? Whether they be nurses, midwives, healthcare workers, community workers, or what have you. So when I go to conferences and they show pure white people, me tell them, so no can have these. No can well and truly have these. Black people played our part. Are you with me? And there might be some in this room here who have returned from England at some point. So I move on to cooking. Growing up as a child, every time I made a beeline to go into the kitchen, my aunt, grand-aunt, by the way, who was a teacher, my granny, and my grand-uncle would say in pure Jamaican language, go take your book. Boys were not in the 60s and 70s allowed to go into the kitchen. It was the domain of little girls. So even at primary school, I did woodwork and plumbing and auto mechanics, and the girls did home economics and baking and sewing. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm saying to you loud and clear is we have to change that gender divide. So if you have nieces and if you have nephews, you make them learn how to change the tire on the car, the girls as well, and how to prepare the puncher and so on. You cannot have this divide where the boys must do the auto mechanics and the woodwork, and the girls must do the home economics and baking and so on. You need to get your, I'm going to go real Jamaican, your boy picnic them, to learn to cook. Have I made that clear? Right, okay. Although I'm born in England, you know, Jamaica, I go up, so I go in the real Rocha pattern when amongst my Jamaican people, okay? I've been on the island since the 18th of October, and I've been doing these events from the 30th of October, and my last event tomorrow is at UTEC, what they used to call CAST, and then I have a few days left before I head off to the States, then back home. So, my daughter in 2008 gave me the best Christmas present I've ever had. Because I used to come home, sitting down lauding it, watching the television or reading the newspaper, waiting on my wife and my daughter to come home to cook. My daughter gave me 15 Caribbean cookery classes, and that is me in my apron, in my pinafore. I did have hair on my head then, I don't have any now. But that is me learning to cook Caribbean food. I'll ask the question, you can answer it. Who do you think is the best cook in the Kelly household now? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But I know, so when I'm cooking, I know how much sugar I'm putting in it, how much salt, how much oil, how much saturates. And that is why I'm saying we need to go back to basics and to fundamentals and get the boy pick them in our families to learn to cook. And when I talk about cooking, very quickly I'm going to say to you is, no, I'll leave it till I go to another slide. In Britain, they like to talk about hard-to-reach communities. If you put that in the internet, you see about 20 pages on Google about hard-to-reach communities. And when I go to these big events all over the country, and the white professors and the academics and the professionals get up and speak, or on their computer, mine is the first hand to go up when they finish. And I say, excuse me, would you mind telling the assembled group who are the hard-to-reach communities? They're brighter than stadium bulb. Because you know who them say? The black people, the Africans, the Caribbeans, the Asians, and the white working class. I have a ready-made answer for them. And if any of you hear anybody calling us as black people hard to reach, ask them, are they on Mars? Are they on Jupiter? Are they on the moon? Are they on the Himalayas? Are they in the bottom of the deep blue sea? Are they in the jungle? If they are in any of those places I have mentioned or any other celestial body, of course they would be hard to reach. Tony Kelly does 150 community events per year in Britain. Me not find nobody hard to reach. So I'm not accepting that terminology which is deemed to be racist, patronizing, and condescending. If Muhammad can't go to the mountain, where must the mountain go? Come on, to Muhammad. So I knock on Goodwaras, hairdressers, pubs, where they're doing the nails, where they're doing the barber shop, the car boot sale, the cricket match, the football. I go, and I think, some of you in here are Christians, when Jesus was on earth, him never going to the temples. He walked the beaches to find fishers of men and women. Is that correct? He also went into the marketplace to find people to join into Christianity. That's what I do. I have about 10 of these different colors. Then I have the hoodie to match. And I'm 30,000 feet in the air on a plane or on a train going to London. And somebody will say, excuse me, do you work for diabetes? Yes, I do. And by the way, here's my card. Take it, take it. All right? That's how I get engagements. If I'm dressed like how you are in neutral colors, nobody will know that Tony Kelly is a diabetes ambassador. So I stand out from the crowd. Are you with me? All right. Now, moving swiftly on, as I said, say instead historically excluded, historically neglected communities, marginalized or underserved. Those are more befitting. I've already mentioned if Muhammad goes to the mountain, etc. I go to where people have sight, hearing impairment, sight impairment, people who are mentally unwell. They are still human beings. We still need to engage with them about their health and well-being, okay? And if in doubt, prevention is better than cure, as we know. If in doubt, check it out. You will not find me in a health clinic, a hospital, or a health center. The reason for that is the people who are at those places, they are already a captivated or captured audience. They are there for a reason, which is why I go to the barber shop, where they're doing the nails, the hairdresser, etc. Are you with me? Are you with me? Right, okay. We're not very quiet. Yeah? Right, moving swiftly on. Yes, here I am now. There are 10 top countries in the world where diabetes is rampant. Shout them out for me. Yes, sir, that is correct. Come on. Jamaica? No, and I laugh because I'm going to tell you why Jamaica isn't in there. Come on. America was said already. If you're not give me the answer, no? No? When am I going to put it back then? Feast your eyes, ladies and gentlemen, on the top 10 countries in the world where diabetes is rampant. Just take a minute, talk among yourself if you want to, while I have some water. Which one is my water? This one? Sorry, I can't open this. Can you open this for me, please? Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, let's focus again. There are top 10 countries listed there. And let me start with Jamaica. At 12 years, we've been doing this event. Look at the country in 10th place. How many people are there? How many people live at Jamaica? Come on, how many people live at Jamaica? 3 point something. It gone to 3 point something million people live at Jamaica. No. It's 3 point something million people live in Jamaica. Trust me, don't shake your head. I know that because I've done my research. It's over 3 million people who live on the island of Jamaica. I'm not going to argue with anybody on that, but what I'm going to tell you is also, in 10th place is Bangladesh with 8.4. So Jamaica could have never make the top 10. But what I want to point out to you is there are 5 Asian countries in the top 10. China, India, Pakistan, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. And what some people say to me when I do these events, people say from the audience, or they will come back afterwards and say, Tony, you know, I've never seen a fat Chinese man or fat Chinese woman. How come so many people in China have diabetes? First of all, you need to remember, China has a population of 2 billion people. So that's the starting point. But what I want you to understand is it is not only people who are fat, overweight, obese, mildly obese, or morbidly obese who can develop type 2 diabetes. People who are slim, skinny, may I go real Jamaican now, mager, can also develop this medical condition. Okay? But moving swiftly on because of time, I'm now going to tell you in 2021, it is estimated that 537 million people across the world had diabetes in 2021. But look at the figures going up. It is projected that by 2030, 643 million people will develop this medical condition. And if we go to 2045, it is going to rise to 783 million. Now, some people said to me, Tony, that is far away. Ladies and gentlemen, cast your mind back to the millennium. What year are we? Come on. We're 24 years into the new millennium. You see how time has flown by quickly? So 2030 is just around the corner, and 2045 is not that far away, okay? So I don't have that as an excuse when some people say that's far away, we can't think so far ahead. Globally or worldwide, and I always put this down to hammer home this point, diabetes is responsible for one death every 8 seconds in the world. You know, I don't think do I need this? Or because of the internet? Or the, right? Because I have a big mouth, we talk loud. Do I need the mic? I do, that's what I'm asking, yes. All right, okay. But let me just make the point here. Every 8 seconds in the world, somebody dies from diabetes complications. Usain Bolt, the Jamaican world record holder for the 100 meters, he did that in 9-point-something seconds. This is every 8 seconds. And what it says in brackets, this is rising. So when I come back next time, 2 years' time or whenever, because all of these trips that I make are self-sponsored. Nobody gives me anything to any of them, for any of them. But I am determined to pay back to society and give back. Now I'm retired. That's going to go down from every 8 seconds to probably every 6 seconds. So it keeps going up and up and up. In 2021 again, 6.7 million people aged between 20 and 79 died from diabetes causes: strokes, blindness, kidney failure, heart attacks, lower limb amputations, all those things that I mentioned at the beginning. So we've just had COVID-19 and coronavirus. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, as many people each year do not die from COVID-19 and coronavirus compared to those who die from type 2 diabetes and type 1. In Britain has a population of about 68 million. 5 million people in Britain have the medical condition diabetes. But importantly, there's around 1 million people who are walking around with type 2 and they don't know that they have it because they have not gone and had a check. And I'm begging you, I'm pleading with you on bended knees, I'm urging you. You must go and get your medical checkups done yearly. It is important, it is of paramount importance that you do that. I'm going to do a comparison. Men in particular, they have them Porsche, or them Lamborghini, or them Volvo, or them SUV, and they make sure they get it, the wheels aligned and the brakes and everything. I'm saying to you, your body given to you by Jah, Jehovah, Allah, God, whoever you worship, is far more important than, listen to this, that piece of junk that's outside. And people say, Tony, you can't call me Lamborghini, I'm a Volvo, a piece of junk. Leave it out there, it will rot. You are to take yourself and take your menfolk kicking and screaming yearly to get their health checks done. In Britain, on the National Health Service, it is completely free. And when I do these events in communities, Gurdwaras, mosques, churches, temples, and I speak to them afterwards, the amount of men in particular who have never been to their GP, they haven't been to the health clinic, and it's free, wanty, can't get it, and getty, no want it. So I'm passionate and on this mission to get people to wake up, and if you want to smell the coffee, fine, or smell the roses. It's your choice. But that's why I'm out here doing these sorts of things. And why I've been to Dominica and Barbados and going soon to Antigua and Cayman Islands, etc., and Montserrat. So there might be people in this room here who have never had their test. And this is a thing I'm going to just mention. I'm going to divert or digress from diabetes for 1 minute. 1 in every 4 black men will get prostate cancer. Make that sink in. Early diagnosis saves lives. And let me just explain to you, for those who might not know, I think I'm preaching to everybody who knows, all men have a prostate gland situated right behind here. It is a walnut gland. It is the only gland in the human body which, as you get older, it increases in size. It doesn't diminish. Every other body in your inside or organ in you, the prostate enlarges. So the person might have, yes, he might have prostate cancer. Over here we call it stoppage of water. It might be a case that the person has an enlarged prostate, so it's become the size of a little lemon or an orange, and it's causing them difficulty in passing urine. Or it might be they've picked up an infection called prostatitis. So it is not necessarily prostate cancer. However, it is the easiest cancer to cure if caught early. Some of you beg you know, whether it's your husband, your father, your brother, your uncle, you tell them, or your boyfriend, you tell them to go and get their PSA checked once a year. First of all, with the blood, which will tell you whether it's elevated or it's in the safe range. Are you with me? Yes. Right, okay. Moving swiftly on. In 1998, look at the figures. It was 1.4 people in Britain who had diabetes. In 2018, it was 3.8, and now you heard me say in 2024, it is now 5 million. It's big, and this is why it's big. 90% of people with diabetes have type 2. Remember that. 90% of people with diabetes across the whole world have type 2. 8% have type 1. Only 8% have type 1. Then 2% have rarer types of diabetes, which I cannot talk about because I said at the beginning of the presentation, I'm not a medically qualified person to do that. I focus on the 90% who have type 2. You might not see those, but I know them off by heart, so I'm going to reel them off. The higher the graph on there, these are all wards in Birmingham, various wards. And I'm going to name some to you where diabetes is very, very high. Then I'm going to ask you to tell me why. And there's several reasons. Aston, Nechells, Handsworth, Sparkhill, Sparkbrook, Saltley. Those are just a few I've mentioned where the graph is very high and diabetes is rampant. Tell me why. Sorry? No, tell me why. Why is the diabetes high in the areas I've just mentioned? Sorry? Bad eating habits. And let me tell you what you mean by bad eating habit. Sometimes I don't get the answer, but you got it straight away. Every shop you pass, and the same is in Jamaica as well, is a fast food, a takeaway, or what I call junk food. Junk food. Me go around the island since I'm here. Me see some long line for years to go way out there so. Me not going to mention the name of the place, but you know what me I talk about. And I said, where are they going? What are they lining up for? They're going for a particular meal. You know what I want people to start going back and doing? Because in our house on a Saturday, it is Saturday soup. It's religiously from I'm growing up. I've been married to my wife since 1980. It is Saturday soup. Whether mannish water, whether chicken broth, or whether rice and pea soup, or whatever your pumpkin soup. We put all those whole heap of corn flour in it and so on, because that defeats the purpose of the exercise. You put things like chocho, and pumpkin, and gully beans, and turnip. Exactly. So, we have got to go back to basics and stop eating this junk food. It is I went to Dominica. They have one particular chicken outlet on the island. On a Sunday, the line go round, yes, sir, and it go round again, and it go round again. And then they said they're thinking of bringing in another fast food outlet. I said, what you saying to me? Come on, get real. You should not be eating. I know people are going to say, where's this guy from? Why is he telling us not to eat this? If you want diabetes, continue eating it. That's all I'm going to say to you, okay? Moving swiftly on, this is why diabetes is serious. It affects every part of the body, starting with every week. That doesn't say every 2 weeks or every quarter. Every week in Britain, diabetes leads to 500 premature deaths or gone too soon. Every week in Britain. Every week in Britain, there are 284 lower limb amputations. And I'm going to do some stuff with you on foot care in a minute. Every week in Britain, there are 770 strokes. Every week in Britain, there are 590 heart attacks and almost 2,300 cases of heart failure from this one condition, diabetes. Diabetes is also the leading cause of preventable sight loss in people of working age in the UK. And if you don't leave with any tips today, this is one I want you to leave with. I come across people who are struggling to read the small print on their phone, in the book, on their Kindle or their tablet, or even what's on the television screen. And when I said to them, why are you squinting so much? And they say, it's age. They're in their 60s, 70s, 80s. It is nothing to do with getting old. It is the diabetes having its wicked way at the back of your eyes, causing you to have blurred vision and to eventually go blind. Are you with me? There are 4 countries in the Commonwealth where blindness from diabetes is rampant. I'll name them. St. Lucia, Belize, Dominica, and Jamaica. Diabetes, blurred vision. So I have to go. I have perfect vision. I don't wear glasses. But every year I have to go because I have type 2 diabetes. In my case, mine's hereditary, runs in the family. I go to the optician. They put the drops in my eyes. It stings for a little while. Then they use a camera and they take lots of pictures of the back of the eyes. It's called diabetic retinopathy screening because it's to do with the retina. In other words, diabetes eye screening, not Devon House ice cream. Diabetes eye screening. When they send them off to the lab, the results come back. Mr. Kelly, your eyesight is perfect. You're good to go. But if the person is beginning to show, as some opticians will say to some of their patients, I don't like what I see forming in the back of the eyes. Please remember, the optician cannot diagnose your diabetes. The optician will say to you, man or woman, please go and see your GP, have a blood test done, because that is the definitive thing which tells you whether you have diabetes or don't have it. The optician can't tell you that. But he can see some of the telltale signs from doing the diabetes eye screening. In Britain, it's free. I think over here you probably have to pay to have it done. But you want to see your children, you want to see your grandchildren, you want to see the beautiful country. If you notice anybody squinting and looking and what have you, I know nothing to do with them getting old. It's diabetes having its way at the back of the eyes. And Jamaica is top of the tree with that, with the other 3 countries I mentioned. Blurred vision. Can we all collectively read what is at the bottom of the screen, please? Right. Now I'm visiting here from England. I've come from Kingston. And some people are not even engaging with it and doing other things. I want it to be read again with feeling and gusto so you really get the message. Loud and clear, please. No. Someone. Every 2 minutes in the United Kingdom, somebody gets a diagnosis that they have the medical condition. I don't know what the figures are like for here, but I would also suggest they are very high. Are you with me? Now, Sister Joy or Brother Joseph or Kelly might have won I know the Seventh-day Adventist people don't do the lottery, so I shouldn't really say that. But somebody here might have won the lottery and won 10 million pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, this does not say 10 million. It says, this is why it is expensive, about 10 billion is spent. There's a phone that keeps on making a noise. Could somebody try and switch it off, please? About 10 billion pounds is spent by the National Health Service on diabetes alone. On diabetes alone. There are countries in the world, impoverished and poorer countries, which don't have that amount of money as their gross domestic product. And look how much we in Britain are spending on diabetes. 1 million pounds every hour, or a tenth of the whole of the NHS budget. Okay? And this is when now I'm going to catch my breath while you listen to a 2-minute video.
There are two main types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. They're different conditions, but they're both serious. There are some other rarer types of diabetes too. What all types of diabetes have in common is that they cause people to have too much glucose in their blood. But we all need some glucose. It's what gives us our energy. We get glucose when our bodies break down the carbohydrates that we eat or drink, and that glucose is released into our blood. We also need a hormone called insulin. It's made by our pancreas, and it's insulin that allows the glucose in our blood to enter our cells and fuel our bodies. If you don't have diabetes, your pancreas senses when glucose has entered your bloodstream and releases the right amount of insulin so the glucose can get into your cells. But if you have diabetes, this system doesn't work. When you've got type 1 diabetes, you can't make any insulin at all. If you've got type 2 diabetes, it's a bit different. The insulin you make either can't work effectively or you can't produce enough of it. In both types of diabetes, because glucose can't get into your cells, it begins to build up in your blood. And too much glucose in your blood causes a lot of different problems. To begin with, it leads to diabetes symptoms like having to wee a lot, being incredibly thirsty and feeling very tired. You may also lose weight, get infections like thrush, or suffer from slow-healing wounds. Over a long period of time, high glucose levels in your blood can seriously damage your heart, your eyes, your feet, and your kidneys. These are known as the complications of diabetes. But with the right treatment and care, people can live a healthy life. And there's much less risk that someone will experience these complications. If you've got diabetes, you can find lots of information and support about living with it using our website and helpline. As well as campaigning for everyone with diabetes to get the right care, Diabetes UK fund research into all types of diabetes, so we can develop new treatments and one day find a cure.
One day find a cure. There's no cure for this medical condition.
You can find out more about type 1 and type 2 diabetes and how they're treated in our next videos.
Some people back in England send off to fake, false, phony websites, quack websites, and they get tablets. How do you know, these tablets are apparently on YouTube and all these places, cure for diabetes. How do you know the quack, the fake, the false, phony person, what they are putting in the tablet? It could be horse manure, it could be grass, it could be cow dung, and you're taking this stuff, and it might end up doing your body more harm than good. I am begging you people, do not send off, no matter how professional it look, and you see might a doctor with him clinician thing here and so on, send off for nothing which tells you there's a cure for diabetes. There is no known cure. Have I made that crystal clear? Right. Now, that video, I'm going to ask you to go back and look at and show your friends, your neighbors, and your colleagues and relatives. It is on the Diabetes UK website. It's called What is Diabetes? And I'm going to tell you two people, because I'm not recap, who have type 1. Theresa May, or former Prime Minister of Britain, has type 1 diabetes. Halle Berry, the well-known black American actress, has type 1 diabetes. I'll stop there. Now I'm going to explain to you so you're crystal clear knows what this is all about. Across here, from the navel string or belly button, we all have a 6-inch gland. Every one of us has. It's called the pancreas. It makes the hormone insulin. Without insulin, you will die. You can live like me without any hair on your head, or with any teeth in your mouth, or any eyes. You cannot live without insulin. With type 1, nothing to do with age, gender, size, ethnicity. 8% of the people, their pancreas stops working altogether, not producing any insulin. So the tired, the toilet, the thirsty, the thinner happens very, very quickly. And they have to go and see the GP. And the GP will say, do you realize your pancreas is packed in, it's not working? For the rest of their life, all people with type 1 have to inject insulin into this area to keep them alive. Now, some of the little children at school who have type 1, which is no fault of theirs, they don't want to come out and see the school nurse 3 times a day. So what they do instead, the medical profession fits a pump here, which drips the insulin slowly but surely to keep them alive. And then some of them will ask me, sir, can that patient take off the pump to go and have a shower or a bath? Oh, yes, they can. But once they've come out of the shower or bath, they have to put the pump back on. That is what is keeping them alive. And I'll tell you something in case you're going on a quiz show. 102 years ago, a scientist, Canadian scientist named Sir Frederick Banting, in his lab in Canada, I have been there, but not 102 years ago, by the way. But I've been to his lab, and he and his French medical student, Charles Best, this is all on the internet, noticed a meager dog outside. They made up this concoction. They injected it into the dog 102 years ago, and the dog started to put weight back on again. That was how man-made or artificial or synthetic insulin was discovered 102 years ago. So, on the 14th of November, which we just passed, it's his birthday, and it is always celebrated as World Diabetes Day. So you now know World Diabetes Day is the birthday of Sir Frederick Banting. Just as an aside, it is also the birthday of the current King of Great Britain, King Charles, okay? So everybody with type 1 have to inject. Some people with type 2 also have to inject insulin. Some go on a drug called metformin. There are other types of drugs. Some, like me, manage to do such a rigid lifestyle that I keep the complications at bay. Some are able, very few, to reverse the diabetes. It goes into remission. It does not mean that they have been cured. If they go back to eating unhealthily and not doing physical activity, what will happen? Come on. It will come back. So there's no known cure, okay? So some people with type 2 have to take insulin as well and have to take whatever metformin or whatever drugs. I'm one of those who is lucky enough because of my disciplined approach not to take any medication. So moving swiftly on, these are the factors. The older you get, family history, heredity, ethnicity, weight, body mass index, waist circumference. Now, these are the issues, which I'm going to go through them one at a time, that people with diabetes tend to get. Not everybody. Starting with erectile dysfunction. Some men trying to make love to their partner, it's called erectile dysfunction for a reason. There is so much blood glucose or blood sugar in the penis, it cannot remain erect. It keeps flopping because they have not taken control of their blood glucose or their blood sugar. And that's why the penis flops. That's called erectile dysfunction. The next one down, I made sure to put where I got that reference so nobody can say, how come Tony Kelly know that? Sexual problems are more common in women with diabetes than in men. Page 58 of your Guide to Diabetes UK booklet. Okay? I mentioned earlier heart attacks, strokes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. Now, I'm going to give you 2 tips which my mother as a nurse gave me from way back when if you have high cholesterol. A lot of people, and I see it over here, tend to have Fosca oats or Quaker oats, the refined one. When you go home, and if you see it in your cupboard, I am telling you to get rid of it. Throw it away. You go into the supermarket and you buy the thick, rolled, old-fashioned, jumbo-sized oats. If you want to have it raw, some people tell me they have it raw. I've never had it raw. That's fine. But what I'm not asking you to do, not take the same thick, rolled, old-fashioned jumbo oats and then put it in a blender and blend it out. That defeats the whole purpose of the exercise. You have it in your porridge, but it must be the thick, rolled jumbo oats. Have I made that clear? It lowers cholesterol levels. I'm not medically qualified, but even I know that from a young age. And another thing for you, which is very good, good old-fashioned celery, and celery there, Jamaica. I don't have a problem at the moment because I love my fruits and my vegetables. I mean, I see a lot around because they say hurricane. But celery, eat it raw or put it in your soup, whatever, but celery or have it on your plate. Are you with me? Both of those reduce cholesterol levels. Now, next one, who knows what is gestational diabetes? There you go. When some women during pregnancy only develop a condition called gestational diabetes. It's not type 1, it's not type 2, it is a special condition that some women only during the pregnancy get. Once they've had the baby or babies, it completely disappears. But what it is saying to that mother is she is at risk in later life of developing type 2. And the children she's had are also at risk of developing type 2. So they need to be very careful in terms of their physical activity and diet. Who knows what is impaired glucose regulation? I do these all the time. 12 years of doing this, and hardly anybody, even the doctors, forget what it means. Let me tell you, when I go to these conferences and I hear the doctors say, impaired glucose regulation, I say, listen, when you go into communities, you need to speak the language of the people so they can understand. And let me tell you what impaired glucose regulation, you can write it down and you go and look it up. It means you are borderline diabetes. You haven't gotten it yet. You're on the border, or you're pre. The prefix pre means before. So you're pre-diabetes or you're borderline. That's exactly what impaired glucose regulation means. So I tell them, why don't you use that instead of using your Oxford University and your Cambridge University and your Birmingham University take on things? People in the community ain't going to know what that is. Keep it simple. And when people come up to me sometimes and say, Tony, my doctor, my GP or whoever said to me 18 months, 2 years ago, I am borderline. And I said, really? And I looked them in the eye and I said, what have you done about it? And they said, bare face. I said, I haven't done anything. Honest to God, I feel like slap them. Because if you get told you are borderline or pre-diabetes, I am begging you to make the lifestyle changes, the behavioral changes, so you don't end up getting the type 2 diabetes. Because once you get it, try and get rid of it. Try and get rid of it. Only few people have managed to get rid of it. So you need to be mindful of that. Now, this is one I'm going to talk about. I have 2 friends in England, and both of them had kidney transplants. Their kidneys, they have diabetes, and the kidneys, and they found a perfect match. One I know was his brother. I thought when you have a kidney transplant, I honestly thought they take out the dumb kidneys, the ones that are not working. They don't. They leave them in there. And if you're getting a kidney transplant from your sister or your mother or your brother, all they do is attach that one kidney to one of the 2 non-functioning kidneys. They don't take out the kidneys. I learned that the other day. I honestly thought they did. They don't. But because there's a foreign body inside you, somebody else's kidney, you have to take anti-rejection tablets for the rest of your life. Now, some of those anti-rejection tablets are steroids. And over a long period of time, the after effect of taking this steroid for so long causes some people, not everybody, to get steroid-induced diabetes. Tony Kelly isn't saying now, just go dash with the steroids. You have to do steroid reduction under supervision. Is that clear? So those who are on mild steroids for asthma and bronchitis, that's not the one that will impact or affect you. It's the ones on the very, very strong steroid. But I'm not saying give that up. The ones I have a problem with, I go to the gym, and I will see this lady at the gym, and she's that size, and then the phone is still going. It's disturbing me. And I'll see the person at the gym, man or woman at the gym, and they're that size. Then I see them 3 or 4 weeks' time, the Incredible Hulk, Mr. Muscle Man or Mr. Muscle Woman, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I say to them, because I don't wear these in the gym, I say, I saw you here 3 weeks ago, you know, and you were my size. How come you bulk up like that? You know what they do? And they do it in Jamaica, both men and women. They quick fix. They stab into here and into here steroids. I am begging you, if you have any niece or nephew, son or grandson or daughter, and you notice them bulking up so quickly in a short space of time, go up to them and tell them, say, Tony Kelly said they're on steroids, and they are to come off it, because if they keep on using it, there'll be no use to their husband or their wife or whoever, because they will eventually get steroid-induced. They want to be big and muscular, but no quick fix. Take the 8, 9, 10 months to build up the body. Are you with me? Right. Okay, so that's one I always mention. People from our ethnicity, African, Caribbean, and South Asian backgrounds, are 2 to 4 times more likely to develop diabetes than white people. Remember that. And people say, Tony, why? Our DNA, our genetics, our metabolism, all of those factors, DNA, genetics, genes, is why. White people start getting diabetes 15 years later at age 40. Also, environmental factors, if you live in an overcrowded place. Also, racism and sexism. If you're under a lot of stress, it can increase. It says that clearly, and some people said they didn't know this. Stress causes blood glucose levels to rise. So if you're at work and it's stressful, or if you're getting in the traffic and every day it's stressful, or you're wherever you are and the children stressing you out, I'm begging you, say your prayers. Inhale, exhale, go do Tai Chi, go do yoga, go walk around the block. You need to bring your stress levels down. Have I made that clear? In order to prevent the blood glucose levels from rising. Because it's not only diet, food, and inactivity that cause diabetes. Stress levels over a long period of time, having risen, can eventually affect the pancreas and cause you to get blood glucose. How many people knew that? Could you show hands those who knew that? At least some did. Well, the others now know that. Thank you. Poor diet, and I'm going to go poor diet and couch potato lifestyle and sedentary lifestyle in a minute. I'm going to skip that one, and this is one. And I forgot to bring my measuring tape. It's on the where I'm staying in St. Jago Heights. Forgot to bring it. But let me tell you something. Diabetes UK says, some of you will remember the perfect beauty queen walking down the catwalk, 36-inch bust, 24-inch waist, and a 36-inch hip, what we call an hourglass figure. If there's any woman in here with a 24-inch waist from the belly button or navel string, stand up proudly and show us, please. No takers? Right. Now, normally I would have the tape measure around here, and people always ask me, you run duppy? No, me not run duppy. I have the tape measure for a reason. This is it. Listen carefully. All women should aim, but I know realistically some not going to get there. All women, according to Diabetes UK, not from the trouser size down here, from the belly button or navel string, should aim for a measurement, write it down, come and ask you later, 31.5 inches, all women. But let's say the woman, for argument's sake, let's say the woman is 44, round here, sir. Not down here, sir. It says here clearly, not the trouser side. Let's say the woman is 44. Realistically, she now go come down to 31.5. But what I'm asking that woman to do is come down from 44 to 42 or 40, getting rid of some of this fat that's around here to enable the pancreas to make the insulin to regulate what you're eating and drinking. Is that making sense? If there's so much fat around here, it is preventing the pancreas from doing what it should do naturally. Are you with me? Asian men, because they're more prone to getting diabetes, their measurement, and again I stress, not from the trouser size, from the belly button or navel string, Asian men must aim for 35 inches. So sometimes when I go to some groups and I see the Asian men and they say, Lord Tony, may I watch me weight? It's out here, son. Me say you better haul it in because that is way too much weight you have. You cannot have a weight of 48 and 50. You have to, you ain't going to get it to 35, but bring it down to 42 or 40. White men and black men, and so you know this women have partners, husbands or brothers or son or uncles. White men and black men, we are allowed an extra 2 inches, bringing us to 37 inches. Again, I stress, not from the trouser size, from the navel string or belly button. Have I made that clear? All right? So I can see some of you going home, go measure up your husband or your partner now, if you see where them there on the scale. But look at the bottom, tofu. Thin on the outside, fat on the inside. That's the meaning of tofu. The fat is deposited around the liver, wherever the liver is in the body, and around the pancreas, and the person is as skinny as a rake. And then they tell you they have diabetes, and you say, no, you can't have diabetes, only fat people. I am telling you, people who are slim or meager or mager can also develop this medical condition. Have I made that crystal clear? Right? Okay, moving swiftly on. So going to the toilet a lot, peeing regularly, extreme thirst, constantly drinking water. Some people in their private parts have thrush, both men and women have thrush because of the amount of blood glucose and blood sugar, have thrush and genital itching. Slow healing of cuts and wounds, which I'm going to come on to in a minute. Blurred vision, which I spoke about earlier. Extreme tiredness and weight loss. Can you all, in a robust gusto, read what's at the very bottom, please? No tired, no toilet, no thirsty, no thinner. And you're going about your merry life, especially the men who I'm telling you to grab them kicking and screaming. All when men dead and I go to them funeral and you ask them if anything wrong with them, they say no, nothing wrong with them. You have to get your men folk to go and get their various tests done. I know, I've been to 2 health fairs here where they do the cholesterol levels and they do the blood pressure and they do the glucose monitoring. Sometimes it has to be done by the GP. And I know some people say GPs here are very expensive. And the NHS in Britain, it's all free. But sometimes you have to save up the money just once a year. Forget the men, go get their checks done. Because if in doubt, check it out, is my motto, you know. And prevention is better than cure. Okay. So, sometimes no symptoms at all. So, the eye disease, which I mentioned. Whoops, sorry, went one too many. The eye disease is one. Heart disease is another. Kidney disease. And lastly, there, nerve disease. And I'm going to talk about the feet now, nerve disease. The lovely beaches in Jamaica. And even on the plush carpet you have in your living room or your dining room at home, or on the tile, I am begging you. When I was growing up as a child, I walk around barefoot. You know, catch me doing that now. You are not to walk around barefoot. I am begging you, please wear something on your feet. It is important, and I'm going to explain why. I have to go once a year to see my diabetic nurse, and she tells me to look away. And she says, put your foot up. And I put it up. And she does that. And she says, did you feel that? And I said, no, you haven't touched me. And she hasn't touched. But then eventually, what she does, she touches all the parts of both of my feet to make sure I am feeling the nerve sensation in the feet. It is important. And I'll tell you something which my daughter did. 10 years ago, she's always on the ball. 10 years ago, she said, Dad, I'm going to get you some of these. Another little flip-flops and the sympathers and the little... If a thumbtack or a rusty nail or a piece of broken glass go into this, is it going to reach where my feet are? I don't think so. And sometimes when I go home, I say, good Lord, there's a thumbtack. If I was wearing a slimmer one, it would have gone into the bottom of my foot. And that is why we get ulcers and sores. And I'm going to tell you, they don't have to be Birkenstock. These are the best one because they really fit the contours of your feet. And they have, I don't know if they sell them here, but there are other types of things that you can wear. Please, and I'm going to tell my grannies to suck eggs here now. When you've had your shower or bath, and instill it in little boys and girls, dry between your toes properly. Number one, never ever put lotion between the toes. You can put talcum powder, but not lotion. Then, when I was living in Whitehall, St. Thomas, you go down the standpipe or you go down a Johnson River. And this crusty bit at the back here, so, where people don't want to get rid of it. If you keep it there, and a thumbtack or a nail or a pin or a screwdriver go in it, and you're not feeling it, that is when complications are going to come. So, in Britain, I have to go into Holland Barrett or the big stores and buy what we call a pumice stone. I have to pay money for it, to use it to scrub the toe. May I beg you now? Please, if you don't even do, and even the elderly folk who are unable to get, you're able to take them and wash their feet properly and ever so often scrub the back there. I'm telling you a true story now. So don't walk around barefoot. But this is a true story. There was a guy who used to come to the gym I went to, and then I didn't see him for a while. And I saw his brother, but because I walk around with these all the time, he shouted out, "Hello, Mr. Diabetes," because most people don't remember my name, but they know I'm diabetes champion. He says, "I want you to go and look for my brother in Dudley Road Hospital." I said, "Why?" He said, "I'm not going to tell you. This is a true story. I'm in the house of the Lord. I wouldn't tell you a lie." This man was at his home. I'll wait till it's turned off because it's interfering with me. I've asked it to be turned off. Can't you turn it off? The phone, it can't be turned off. Okay, well, you should have said that to me then. Eh? Okay, I'm hearing it loud and clear. Anyway, this chap, at his home, a glass bottle dropped. He used dustpan and brush to pick up the splinters. A splinter remained on the floor. It went into his big toe. This is a true story. And you know what he did? Using Dettol. He never had no splinter in there, but the pus and the gangrene, and apparently this is a St. Thomas tradition. You know, sore foot? In a St. Thomas, we call it tembe. And everywhere we go and say they never heard that. Anybody here know it as tembe? Sore foot? It must be a regional thing then. But, huh? Wrong parish. All right. Okay, I take that back. But he was here trying to get it better, and it was getting worse and stink and the pus. And somebody saw him one day and said, no, that too stink. That's a proper stinking toe. Go down, go see your doctor. He finally plucked up the courage to go see his doctor. The doctor took one look at him and said, Dudley Road Hospital. You got it right. Gangrene had set into his big toe. He had diabetes, you know, but he never even knew. They cut off his big toe. The gangrene had spread to the other 4 toes. They chopped off the other 4 toes. Sadly, the gangrene had spread up to here. They chopped off his leg just below the knee and had to fit him with a prosthetic limb. You know, when they did the Paralympics, and you see them with the prosthetic. You know what he did? Every single curtain, blind, window in his house, he closed them. Dark shadows. I don't like the word black shadows. No shadow, no black. No clouds, no black. Dark clouds descended on him. Mental health, depression. Because he used to be walking around nice as ever, now all of a sudden. And I heard, and because I do a lot of motivational speaking, I rang him up and I said, you've lost a leg. You have lost your life. Try and get over it, which he eventually did. So that's the point I'm making about how important it is for foot care. I know another person who had diabetes, run a hot scalding bath, because in England, most people shower now, but in those days, bath. Now, we who are parents know, if you're going to test the temperature of the water before you put the baby in it, that's where you use your elbow. You know that, don't you? You use your elbow to test the temperature of the water. Is that not something you know? But some people do something. This man, instead of doing that, finished running the hot scalding bath. All he did was plunk himself in the bath, not have no sensation or feeling. He's now a double amputee. So foot care is so important. Please, I'm begging you. If you want to take an image of this, it can tell you, you can go to the website, the Know Your Risk tool. It can tell you whether you know diabetes, not for people who already have diabetes, no diabetes, low, medium, or high. This is what we do in Britain. And nearly 3 million people have been to this website. You put in your age, your gender, your ethnicity, your size, all the things it asks you for. And if you're coming to the medium or high risk, it signposts you because you put in your zip code or your postcode to go to a diabetes workshop over about 8 months with other people who also are pre-diabetes or borderline. And you do it at a slow pace to try and get you to improve yourself. So that is an important one. Eat a healthy, balanced diet, be more active, and stop smoking. And this is the point where I am going to do some physical activity with you. You don't have to do it. You're just going to have to watch. Number one. When I went back to England in 1979, there was one television station over here named JBC. And we as little kids, even before then, used to wait for the grains to go and the first program, the little program to start. Now, and back in Britain, there was BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV. Every time you wanted to change the channel, you got up off here and you went and changed the channel. Okay? Now, this is what, not in our household, but this is what 99% of you do. You sit down there, sit down to your couch potato. Beep, 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 beep. I am going to be deadly serious with you. Hide the remote control, or put dead batteries in it, or take out the batteries. And within an hour, if you have to get up off of this, you have done some movement. You've allowed the blood to circulate around the body. Am I making sense? You cannot be sitting down there for 7-8 hours and not moving. I'll take it one stage further, because I know some of you have it. Alexa, Siri, turn off the light. Alexa, Siri, open the curtains. Alexa, Siri, turn off the radio. Were you born with Alexa and Siri? Huh? Huh? If you give me Alexa or Siri as a Christmas or birthday present, me tell you, take it back at the shop. I want you to put Alexa and Siri away, hide it, and then every time you want to turn on the light, turn off the TV, turn on the radio, close the curtains, you do what we used to do in the good old days. Are you with me? You would have done some movement and allowed the body, the blood, to circulate around the body. That's all I'm asking you to. It's not a lot, you know? Another thing I'll ask you to do is with this. Must be plastic bottles, not glass. Start with a smaller girth to begin with, and these are going to be your dumbbells. One on this side and one on this side. Do it in competition with your children and grandchildren, and you sit down there with water in it, must be plastic, and all you're doing to reggae or dance music or calypso or what have you, one love, one. You wouldn't realize all the calories that you've ate and drank by doing this. So when Sister Joy and Brother Joseph invite me next time, they muscles them up yourself. Because you have done this on a just sitting down there. And then when you do it there and so on, take it up this as well. Have competition. Then you don't want up yourself now to be nice and toned and so on. If you're able to, because I know some people have mobility issues, bring the feet into the equation. Up. That is you doing physical activity. Again, the bus stop. When you say one stop driver, no come off at your bus stop. Come off at the stop before or the stop after. And you're not going to walk as if you're going behind a coffin or a casket at a funeral. You're going to walk briskly, 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 so that the heart muscles are sending the blood around. Just 2-3 times a week I'm asking you to do this. When you go to the supermarket, you know where most people park their car? Right at the entrance. Right at the entrance. Park the car way down yonder and get some walk in by walking from there up to here. Then when you come in, some supermarkets have the elevator or the escalator or the travelator, and people go on it. Do you have an elevator, an escalator, or a travelator at your yard? No. So what the dickens you're going in a supermarket go use it for? Your feet were made for walking. So when I go into New Kingston and have to go up to the 25th floor, and people say, hey, the lift's here, the elevator's here. I said, no, thank you. There's the stairs. And they say, are you Superman? I said, watch me. The lift stop at the 2nd, the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th, the 9th, the 10th. Me walk up to the 25th and could I have a cup of tea, still waiting on them. Every chance you get, you have to try and do more movement. Are you with me? Can be Zumba, can be dancing, can be this, that. You're in charge of your body. Move, move. Don't keep it still. Because that's when it's going to just get static and then all the illnesses come your way. Now, here are 4 people. Form a walking club in your district. Form a walking club. Now some people say, Lord, Dad, Tony, the sun hot at Jamaica, you know, we can't go walk. You can go early in the morning, because since I'm here, me go early in the morning at Hermitage, and you see the people them roll up in them big car, and they have them flashlight, because it's still dark as ever. And they come out, they lock the car, and there's a security there, and they walk around the dam 4 or 5 times. And I say, yes, I wish more people would do this, yes. So this man, he calls on his friend. Huh? Well, that's good. But you call on your friend, she start making excuse about her head hurt her, and her teeth hurt her, and she can't go. But he's very assertive, and he says, listen, we have other people to pick up on the walk, so you better get yourself ready. She never, she was so blind, so she not going, you know. But he's so assertive, he managed to convince her. We go to this woman, and she is a stickler for punctuality. 1.5 hours late. What took you so long? So we tell her this story about that one. Then we got to this one, and she said, we did have one curry last night, you know, I don't feel too well. And we said, listen, the fresh air will do you the world of good. And you go pick up the others on the walk, and then you start walk. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamaica is hilly and steep. You don't walk on flat surfaces. You will get no benefit. You will find steep hills and gradients, and you walk. Some will be faster, so they can go ahead and meet you at the next station. The slower ones will come along. You talk about President 45, you talk about the elections that are coming up in the year, you talk about your church, you talk about your children, your grandchildren, you talk about everything, and suddenly you've done that 2 times a week. You notice this, the tire, it starts to come more firm and start to drop off. That is what I'm talking about. I'll tell you what I do. I go to a Zumba class every single week for the last 12 years. Every week. And I am the only man sometimes, I would say the one dege man, amongst all these women. And I say, well, I'm the rose amongst these thorns. I am there because of the suffering I saw firsthand in Whitehall, St. Thomas, Jamaica. Are you with me? So I do Zumba, I do Pilates, I do yoga, I do aquarobics. Aquarobics is when those of us who can't swim, you just stay in the water, and you're just moving against the water. It's a very, very good form of activity. And I do badminton. And then, 2 years ago, I saw an article that Linford Christie, and most of you should know Linford Christie is because he was Jamaican born, although he ran for Britain. He could not swim and learned to do swimming and now does open water swimming. My grandmother said, your mother sent you from England and you're under my jurisdiction. You can't go to the beach. You can't go to the river. You can't catch crab. You can't catch dranga. Not at all. So I have never learned to swim. When I read the article, I say, if it's good enough for Linford Christie, it's good enough for Tony Kelly. So what I have done 2 years ago at Birmingham University, I joined the beginners class. Petrified like what of water, even to jump in. I have moved from the beginners to intermediate, and September, just before I came here, I have been moved to the advanced class. So this myth that black people can't swim, get rid of that myth. Tony Kelly can swim and Linford Christie can swim. And that black people will sink. Please. And as for the women, when I see them in England, oh, Tony, the chlorine, and me here, me can't have it. One day, you might end up saving your child's life, or your niece, or your nephew, or your husband, or so on. Go learn to swim. They were surrounded by the, so me go Fort Clarence, and now I see the people in Fort Clarence I do. At the beach, I just a paddle in the water. And then me out there swim. And the lifeguard say, how can you swim? Black people don't normally swim. They all just sit down on the beach and paddle. So, I'm sure there might be people in here who can swim, but please, try and take that out as a hobby. Be more active and stop smoking. I'm going to tell you my 3 personal experiences. I'm going to leave one out because of time. You people talk about the A1C, which is a standard 3-month blood glucose monitoring test. You can't fool anybody with that. In Britain, we call it HbA1c. It's the same thing. Now, I have something called the sickle cell trait, not the full-blown sickle cell anemia. If my wife had the sickle cell trait as well, the chances are our daughter would have been born with the sickle cell anemia. But she's fine, as is my wife, okay? So I have the sickle cell trait, and when I go, I cannot do the standard HbA1c. I do something called the fructosamine test. What it is, it can only tell the clinicians what I've ate or drank for the last 2 weeks, only the last 2 weeks. And what you need to understand here, when you give your bloods, and if you have sickle cell, or sickle cell trait, or thalassemia, you must make sure the little vial, when they take the blood, they don't put a red cork on it. If they put a red cork on it, it is examined for HbA1c. So you need to be vigilant if you have the sickle cell or the sickle cell trait or thalassemia, and make sure they put a yellow cork on it. Are you with me? Are you with me? Right, okay. So that's very important. I'm not going to do blood pressure, but I'm going to do pernicious anemia and send these around. A few years ago, I woke up and I was feeling very tired over about 2-3 weeks. And I thought, well, let me go down to my GP and have a test done. And the doctor said, when the test results came back, you have a condition called pernicious anemia. First time in my life I've heard it. It is lacking in vitamin B12. And you get vitamin B12 from animal products. So anybody who is vegetarian has to take B12 supplements because they're not doing any animal products. So I said to the doctor, how are we going to, and he said, you have type 2 diabetes, we're going to have to give you an injection every 3 months, a B12 injection in your bottom for the rest of your life. I said, doctor, you can wheel and you can turn and you come again. That now happened. So I went home. I went to that website, the Pernicious Anemia Society website. I spoke to the doctors and nurses in my family, and they told me the things that I need to eat more of. I'm not going to tell you them now. You need to go look them up. And what I did as well, I bought this. It's called Floradix. iron, vitamin B2, B6, B12. There's another one called metatone. I'm going to pass this around. And it's no preservatives, no lactose, no colorings. I took that for 3 months, every morning, a little bit of it. And I got to Holland and Barrett. This is not a proper drug store. These are the what you call them, stores. I have a B12 tablet ever since, along with this. And I went back to see the doctor, and my B12 has ever since stayed in the range it should be. And I said, doctor, what did Dickens you was wanting to juke me in my bottom every 3 months for the rest of my life? You need to, as people, when you go and see the doctor, you need to get real. You need to take somebody with you, an extra pair of eyes and ears, so you don't walk out of the doctor's surgery with one medication costing 20,000, then another one costing another 30,000, then another one and you get all tongue-tied, and you don't know where you take these medication for. Open your mouth and talk. Don't get tongue-twisted because you think it's a doctor, they know best. You cannot put them on a pedestal or on a stool. So take somebody, even me, take somebody in with me, because another pair of eyes and ears, when the doctor talk horse dead and cow fat, me just will say, and then they will say to me, well, are you medically qualified? When I go with somebody else, I say, no, but what you've just told that patient, it no ring true. And they like to put black people immediately. Go in a doctor with blood pressure, immediately they want to put you on medication without even saying, go away, do some Zumba, do some keep fit, do some this, do some that, tone up, do that, the other. I same with the type 2 diabetes. Immediately they want to put you on metformin or on insulin. You need to, some people have to have it, don't get me wrong. But you need to, are you with me? Right. Okay, so that's the issue there. I'll pass those around. Sorry. Take a photo with it with your camera. Kidney stones. One morning I woke up and I had the most almighty pain. Shh. And I said to my wife, my appendix has burst. But my wife is very bright, primary school teacher. She said, what side is hurting you? To this day, I don't know what side my appendix on. But I did say whether this side. And she said to me, don't be so silly. Your appendix is not on that side. And I said to her, how am I supposed to know? Me in a pain, the equivalent of a man giving birth to a child. Kidney stones, which were crystal. So I was admitted to hospital, just going back a few years. And I managed to pass out the kidney stones. And the doctor sat me down and he said, tell me your diet. And I said to the doctor, I have cow's milk. The more cream on the top of the cow's milk, me just love that. The doctor looked at me, one look, and he said, let me tell you something. And you need to go to your communities and tell them that. Cow's milk is for the formation of teeth and bones in babies and children. Adults do not need to drink cow's milk. I'll say it again. Adults do not need to drink cow's milk. Write them down. Please write them down. You are to go for plant-based milk. Some of them taste bad like well, but eventually you get the hang of them. Cashew milk, almond milk, rice milk, oat milk, and good old coconut milk. A coconut, they're Jamaica. So if you don't want the cashew or the almond or the rice or the oat, go get coconut milk and have that in your cereal or in whatever you have. You are not supposed to be drinking cow's milk. Have I made that quite clear? Okay? I know some of them taste bad. And then one I'm going to tell you to shy away from. Soya. I'm going to talk about soya now. Because every time that gets mentioned. Most of the soya plants, when they're grown out there in the fields, they attract pests. The soya plant attracts pests. And they come around with the pesticides, the chemicals, and spray the soya to get rid of the pests. That goes into the food chain. And it can be carcinogenic or cancerous. So what I'm saying to you with soya milk, get the organic soya milk, which is produced under different circumstances, not mass produced for them to spray. Because the organic soya doesn't attract, it's grown in a different environment, and it doesn't attract the pests and so on. Are you with me? Okay, moving swiftly on. Eat a healthy, balanced diet. Why do these people, look at them, get diabetes more than any other person's careers? Why? Sedentary, sit down on the lifestyle. And when they come home, the TV watching them, because they're tired, more than them watching the TV. And the routine, they go up to bed, and they come back and then go and drive the van or the lorry or the tube or so on. And it's a perpetual thing. They are the people who get diabetes the most out of all the professions under the sun. Those people, because they are leading a sedentary, couch potato lifestyle. Okay? If you're on medication, please take it. But what I'm saying to you, in the first place, you have to ask your doctor loud and clear. And you must have reviews. Some people, once they're on medication, they don't have no review by them doctor, to see how it's working. Some people say, I take it, I take the medication, I buy it, but I don't bother to have it. I take it from the pharmacy or the chemist or so on. You need to be truthful and go back to the doctor and say, doctor, all that medication that you've been giving me, I haven't taken any of it, Sorry? I didn't hear that. Say what I just said. Oh, repeat. Okay. What I'm saying to you is, when you go to the doctor and the doctor prescribes your medication, the idea is he or she has prescribed it for you to take. I know of some people who choose not to take the medication. They go and get the prescription and pay the whole heap of money for it, and then they put it aside, and they go back to the doctor, and then probably tell the doctor, say, yes, I've been taking the medication, and then now take it. Be truthful with your doctor and say, no, because when you look at most medications, study the side effects. Just 1 in every 100 it can do this, 1 in every 10,000 it can do this, 1 in every, and it can end up, and then of course they give you one medication to counteract that one and another one, and you're walking around like medicine chest. Come on, you need to wake up and smell the coffee here with your medication. Social prescribing is a buzzword now in Britain. 2 words, social prescribing. They have realized that they're putting way too many people on drugs, which sometimes mask the underlying health problems. So what they're doing now in Britain is saying, okay, out of the GP's budget, we want you to do Zumba or Pilates or acrobics or go to the gym. And it is done out of their budget, not out of your money. I don't think that has caught on here as yet. Some university staff had a one-off session with me and said, Tony, we like your style and we like what you're doing. We're going to be calling on you more. Social prescribing. Control your blood glucose levels. Some of us prick. I don't prick at all, but some prick with their finger to test their levels. Some wear a Libra up on here, and then it's attached to their phone. And as soon as they've had their meal, it can tell what the reading is and so on. They have the Libras over here? It's not reached over here yet. It's expensive, you see. I mean, I think you're not going to get it free, those who have diabetes. But even in Britain, it was a postcode lottery, where in some areas, they would give it out free, and in the richer, affluent areas, the people would have to buy it. It's a device, a little white thing that they attach here, and then it's monitored to your phone and can give you your blood glucose reading instead of the constant pricking of the hands. I'm sure it must be out here, but it probably hasn't reached the country areas yet. Now, full traffic lights. Just like how you have the red traffic light, and red spells danger, and you stop, amber is in the middle, and green good to go. In the supermarkets in Britain, those are what are on most food labels. You are to buy more labels with the greens on them, which has low sugar, less fat, less saturates, less salt, etc. If it doesn't have those labels on them, what I'd like you to do instead is read what's on there. So if it's 20% fat and 30% sugar and 5% salt, you should know straight away you shouldn't be buying that product. Are you with me? So look at the labels when you're going to the supermarket, please. That's very important, okay? Now, this guy swears by this. It's my friend in London. Beg your pardon. He's in KPH, in Kingston here. I'm going to show you what you need to do. Some of you have fruit smoothies or vegetable smoothies. Your food, your mouth is meant to chew the food into a bolus, B-O-L-U-S. That is the Latin word for ball. The enzymes in here, when you've chewed the food, the kale, the carrot, the cabbage, the cantaloupe, what have you, the spinach, the pop chow, when you chew it in here, it goes from here into here, and the amino acids and the peptic acids in here do what they're supposed to do, and then circulate it all around the body. When you have a smoothie, I'm not talking beetroot juice and carrot juice, no. I'm talking the smoothie that you do in the blender or the percolator. This is what happens when you have a smoothie. I demonstrate. Honestly, it not go nowhere around the body. Straight down, out there and out there. I am begging you, please stop having smoothies. They are no good for you. Even the ones you do at home with the blender, you put in the ripe banana, you put in the papaya and so on. Eat the ripe banana just like that. The papaya just like that. Are you with me? Okay, moving swiftly on. I want you to spend 2 minutes on your own looking at the benefits of water while I take a sip of water. 2 minutes on your own looking at the benefits of water. Okay, conscious of time, so I'm going to start up here now. I'm begging you to drink more water, please. In Jamaica, you sweat a lot, you perspire, and you get rid of all of that natural stuff inside. You have to replace the nutrients that from the perspiration and the sweat. You are to drink, try to drink at least 2 liters of water per day. I know it's hard, but make a start. But what I want you to know is there is water in papaya, watermelon, oranges, grapes, grapefruit, all the fruits that are around. And I don't see any fruits, by the way, because of Hurricane Beryl. But when fruits are in season, you are to have the fruits and also still drink a lot of water. Water keeps you hydrated. The aim of the kidneys is to flush out the toxins, the poisons, and the impurities in your body so that your urine is a light, pale, yellow color and also does not have a stench. If it is not a light, pale, yellow color, and if it has a stench, something is going awfully wrong inside of you. You need to go see your GP, okay? One thing I'm going to point out to you. When water falls from sky, is it fizzy? Is it aerated? Is it carbonated? Is it sparkling? So what the dickens we're going into the supermarkets and at the restaurant and asking for sparkling water, fizzy water, carbonated water. Listen, drink so plain water. Because let me tell you something. You see all those sparkling and fizzy and aerated water? They have put chemicals in it to give it that fizzy and that spark. You will put on weight. Trust me. You're not just drinking it for drink's sake. You will put on weight. So when you go to the supermarket, my daughter's husband is a top chef in Britain. And he says they deliberately salt the food. Why? Sorry? They deliberately salt the food in restaurants. Why? To make you drink more. to make you drink more. So you're going to get into the habit now as of today. When you go to the restaurant and the person said to you, when they put the food out, then they come around, can we get you something to drink? Because the taste buds with all the salt that they put on it. So you say you want a lager, sherry, or wine, or fruit juice or so on. You know what you must ask them for? A jug of water. You see them out long from here to Manning's High School, because that was not the answer they were expecting from you. Get wise and ask them for water instead of, because your drink bill can end up being more than your food bill. Am I making sense? Right. So that's something you need to do. But yes, the benefits of water can't be underestimated, and that's very important. If you want to take down the Diabetes UK website, this is the one in Britain, there's one in Jamaica as well, to ask them any questions. That's the helpline at diabetes.org.uk. You won't be able to get the helpline from here, but you can go to the diabetes website. They have recipes on there, they have tips, they have this, they have the other. www.diabetes.org.uk. It's a fantastic website, and they'll have all sorts of things on there which you need to probably look at your heart's content. Can I move on? Have you taken a picture? Right, okay. Now, before I answer any questions, let me just quickly bring this down. While I'm bringing this down, I'm going to give you two jokes. My father used to say to me, food is the staff of life, but rum is life itself. That's because he was a drinker, okay? Hang on, I'm bringing too many down. Quiz. Okay, so I'm bringing the quiz down. And then you decide, do you eat to live or do you live to eat? I'm not going to answer that for you. You answer that for yourself. Right. Food and diabetes quiz. I want to see how much you really know about the food you should eat. Do people with diabetes need to follow a special diet? If you agree with that statement, put your hand up, please. People with diabetes must follow a special diet. Put your hand up if you agree with this statement. Okay, hands up. I'm going to pick on people. Could you tell the audience why people with diabetes must follow a special diet?
Because if you follow the normal diet, you are killing yourself. You are killing yourself if you follow the normal diet that you used to. The lots of starchy food and the sweet, you are totally killing yourself.
All right, thank you for that. I'm also going to call on you, madam. You had your hand up. Why should people with diabetes follow a special diet? I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I just want to hear some of the views.
I mean, you can't just eat everything you normally eat. Once diagnosed, you have to follow a particular diet in order to control the situation.
Okay. Thank you. Well, the ones who did not put up your hands, you are all correct. There is no need to follow a special diet. We all should have a healthy, well-balanced diet with portion sizes. Less is more. So when I was growing up in Whitehall, because some of the people, the older ones in the household, had diabetes, they would put on a completely different, this is the 60s we're talking about, now with 2024, we know better, they would put on a completely different pot from us, the little children running around. They shouldn't have been doing that. All we should eat is a healthy, balanced diet. Next slide, because I'm conscious of time. Do people with diabetes need to stop eating rice? If you agree with that, put up your hand, please. Not no or yes, just put up your hand. Stop eating rice. You have diabetes, you shouldn't be eating rice. No hands are going up? Well, you're all correct. There is no need to stop eating rice, because sometimes in the events I do, people put their hands up. Think of China. What is the staple product of China, ladies and gentlemen? 2 billion people live in China. You tell me, say the paddy fields of China, they must give up rice? But what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'm deadly serious, I want everybody in the room to put their hand like this and look at their hand like that. Everybody, at your hand. And by the way, not like this. So like this. Okay? Look at your hand, and this is the answer to what I'm going to say. Listen, Listen, the portion of rice you eat on your dinner plate must fit into the palm of your hand. And some people said to me, Lord God, Tony, that now got me eye teeth. Eh? You are not to eat so much starchy food, which as Carmen just said, the rice and the bread and the patty and the cocoa bread and all those sort of things. All carbohydrates you eat break down into your body into glucose or sugar. Because some people say to me, Tony, me give up the Christmas cake, you know. I me give up the bun. I me give up the ice cream. I me give up the syrup and the condensed milk, and I'll be fine. No, you won't be fine. All carbohydrates, which is starchy food for energy, so rice, bread, patty, cocoa bread, what have you, breaks down into your body into glucose or sugar. Remember that, okay? There are 3 rices I want you to eat. You can eat the others still, don't get me wrong, but Diabetes UK says 3 rices you should eat more of. Name me them. No? Brown rice, that goes without saying. Sorry? Wild rice, not WHITE, wild rice. Brown rice, wild rice, and I heard the third one up here. Basmati rice, white or brown. Those are the ones that Diabetes UK say you are to eat more. Brown rice, wild rice, and basmati rice, white or brown. Moving on, because we're coming to the end. Do people with diabetes need to avoid sweet fruit like mango and bananas? Sweet fruit. No, I'm in the house of the Lord. I may tell you, I will kill you for mango. At St. Thomas, me grew up. Me love mango, gone to bed. So come mango time, they live and direct from Jamaica. The big box of Julie mango come to the wholesale market. And me go buy my big box. And I will sit down and have 5 or 6 at a time. I can tell you why. I do Pilates, yoga, badminton, swimming, aerobics. I am moving constantly. I am constantly burning up the calories. If you like my grandmother, who she would sit and have 10 mangoes in the water in the pot and sit down there and just eat, and now get up another. She will pile on pounds. Mangoes is natural sugar or fructose. You cannot be eating so much mango. Wash your pot, turn them down mango time. Me used to sing that because I used to sing with the Jamaica folk singers. You have to get up and go do physical activity. Are you with me? Yes. And up to now, hear me use the word exercise, because exercise conjures up images. I want you to go where? To the gym. And that's not what I'm on about. All the stuff I did here, none of that was done in the gym. Even in your house, you walk around the house, you climb the stairs. As for the kids, on the Game Boy and the PlayStation, and you're adults, you're responsible people. Take it off them, tell them to put it down. Sun a shine out a door, rain a fall, it never kill you. Then we go do hopscotch and marble and cricket and rounders and so on. This is why the youngsters are getting diabetes now. They're not doing any physical activity. You agree with me? And then belly out here so. A 13, 14-year-old not supposed to have belly like that. Eh? And you as adults need to take control of them. Are you with me? Instead of you them moan and complain and say they pick them this, them, that. Take this up now for them and give them a time limit space in which to use it. So, the darker the banana skin is, the sweeter the mango is. So, eat the mango when it is less ripe because it's natural sugar. But I'll tell you 4 fruits I'll tell you to have more of. I know they're expensive. Blackberries, they're very expensive. Blackberries, strawberries, raspberries, and the best of the lot is blueberries. You have blueberries, just wash them and have them like that, or have them with low-fat yogurt. And when I say low-fat yogurt, I'm not talking yogurt which is sweetened. That defeats the purpose of the exercise. Yogurt with no sweetening in it. Have that with the blueberry or the blueberry on its own, okay? You're all going to say yes or no to this. Do people with diabetes need to eat more vegetables? Come on, yes or no? Absolutely yes. Yes, the more vegetables you have in your diet, cutting out the whole heap of carbs and going for the vegetable option, the better. Let me tell you, as an 8, 9, 10-year-old boy, my grandmother would sit me at the table. She said, you're not leaving the dining table till you eat your vegetable. You know something named gully beans, susumba? My grandmother used to give me that. Lady's fingers, okra, she used to give me that. The lettuce, she gave me that. The watercress, the pop chow. I was very cheeky. You know me used to say to her, Granny, that is for rabbits and guinea pigs. Me not eat it. And she would have tried and slap me, and me just slip and slip and slip and move. But me would have to come back to the table and finish my meal. The last thing me would have left on my plate are my vegetables. Get your children to cut down on the whole heap of burgers and pizza and this and the French fries and so on. Well, in a Kingston, them do well afford it. Well, our town people. But I am saying to you, you must eat. And one vegetable which I'll tell you to eat more. Green bananas is good for you. Not sweet yam, but green bananas. But another one that's good for you, sweet potato. Not the old-style Irish potato. That is bad for you. But the sweet potato has a low glycemic, you know that. Some of you know that already. Okay? So the more vegetables you eat, including red onion and red cabbage. But I'm going to tell you something about red. Cut down on your red meat in terms of your oxtail, your beef, your lamb, and your curried goat. You have to cut down because in men, I can tell you for a fact, it is the main cause of prostate cancer, red meat in men. And colon cancer in all of us. Please cut down and go for chicken, duck, turkey, rabbit is white meat, go for fish, go for, I know within the Seventh-day Adventist faith, you don't have shrimps and crab, those things, and lobster. I know that. But there might be people here who are not of that faith who would like to know that they can have shrimps and lobster and crab. But and of course, Seventh-day Adventists don't eat pork. But pork is classed as white meat, just like chicken, okay? So more dal and beans, lentils. The more lentils you have on your plate, the better. It aids your digestive system, except baked beans. Cut down on baked beans. Baked beans is packed with sugar and salt, okay? Coming to the end. 1 minute we say coconut oil good for you, then change and say it's not good for you, and then go back and say it's good for you. Coconut oil grow me for St. Thomas, Jamaica, Whitehall, St. Thomas, and it never do me any harm. But what I'm wanting you to do, no questions till the very end, please. What I'm wanting you to do, the Asians use ghee, boil, bake, steam, grill, and roast. I'll repeat, boil, bake, steam, grill, and roast. Less of the fry up. And even when you're going to do the Johnny cake or the fried dumpling, start it in a little oil in the Dutch pot or the frying pan, transfer it to the oven. It tastes good same way. And one thing I'm going to tell you to stop eating. When we used to come here in the early days on holiday, we go to Hellshire. And what, me hear, somebody say it already. Festival. What did Dickens know put sugar in a fried dumpling what tastes nice already? Eh? So if I taste it, I spit it out. I will not have festival. It is absolutely awful. The dumpling on its own is white flour, so that in itself is bad enough. And then you can put sugar in it and call it festival. They have it in England plenty, but me not eat it. Not eating it, okay? So, sugar. You have to have some sugar in your diet. Coming to the end, but that sugar, you'll have 6, 7, 8 of those in 3 minutes. You are to buy the dark chocolate with 70 to 80 to 90% cocoa. That is very bitter, and it takes you 3 months to eat a bar. But we are bitter. That's the one, but it's better for you. Bitter is better, okay? You notice that said no sugar added. Of course, it's a marketing ploy. They have not added any sugar, but what they put in it is sweeteners or saccharines. Doctors say to me, sweeteners or saccharines are carcinogenic or cancerous. You are to avoid sweeteners and saccharines like the plague and have normal jam, but small portion sizes. Are you with me? So diabetic food you shouldn't be buying. Food stuff. Salt. I'm going to ask you one question. What does salt cause? What does salt cause? Hypertension or high blood pressure. You have to cut down on your salt intake. That is why we as black people have so much high blood pressure and hypertension. The processed food is salty, this is salty, that is salty. And if you have your your mackerel or your saltfish or so, you have to boil out the salt, you know. You have to boil it out, soak it overnight, and even when you wake up the next morning and it's still salty, you boil it out. The salt beef, the same. So, the sea salt is polluted. The sea is polluted. The refined salt, the table salt, is full of preservatives and additives and so on. Go for the salt from the Himalayas. The pink salt from the Himalayas. That is, it's natural salt. And as a matter of fact, we use very little salt in our household because we use these. Cloves, pimentos, garlic, basil, dill, onion. What are those? What are those? Spices. Those are what we use inside. And you use those to season your dish. Karela, I'll come on to that in a minute in another slide. Breakfast. It is called breaking the fast. You remove the ing, you remove the, you put break and fast together. What you get? You decide, you know your stomach and your constitution and your nutrition. You must decide what time you want to have breakfast. Never send the kids to school on an empty stomach because they will fall asleep and they can't concentrate. But as adults, I don't eat anything. Nothing passes my lips until 11 o'clock. Until 11, because I want this pancreas, having eaten the night before 6:30, I want this to recover so that me can start put food in. Because once you put the food in there, it have to start make the insulin to regulate the body. So I discipline myself never to eat before 11. But breaking the fast, you have to say, some people have smaller portion sizes. But here's the score. First of all, for the last 12 years, I squeeze a lemon in warm water and I drink it. First thing at 11. One is acidic and one is alkaline. It wakes up the stomach. Now, my dentist has said to me, Tony, make sure you tell the people out there, if they're going to go down this route, I have a lemon, or if I use lemon juice because I can't get lemon over here, you cannot drink it from a glass or cup. It must be from a straw, because every day doing the straw, the warm water, it will erode the enamel from your teeth. Have I made that clear? Okay, so if you're going to go down that route, be very mindful, careful. Now, it says eat more oily fish. Why? Dementia, Alzheimer's, senility. And I know some of you must know people who have dementia, Alzheimer's, and senility. The doctors will tell you, you must eat more oily fish. Sardine, herring, mackerel, sprat, tuna. Those are all oily fish which you are to consume more of. But Tony Kelly didn't say go down to the fish and chip shop in Birmingham or wherever and buy the oily fish down there, which is in the batter and all. That's another oily fish me I talk about. I hope you understand that, because some people seem to think that's what I'm talking about. Now, that thing there is mackerel. Let's beg your pardon, it's salmon. I'm going to beg you, stop eating pink salmon. The pink salmon is deliberately fed pink pellets to give it that lovely pink color. It is cancerous or carcinogenic. You are to, and the same with tilapia, farmed tilapia. You are to get the red salmon, which comes from the wilds of Alaska or up in Scotland, red salmon. That is the salmon you must eat, not the pink salmon. The pink salmon, if you eat it too much, you can end up getting cancer of some description, and you wonder how the hell you get cancer. Well, Seventh-day Adventists don't drink alcohol, so that's not an issue unless there are visitors here. But you can have some alcohol as a diabetes person, those who are visitors and not Seventh-day Adventists. But you have to have alcohol-free days. I'm talking to those who are visitors, not the ones who are Seventh-day Adventists here. And then stop smoking. And I have run over a bit, but I'm not going to leave without doing the cultural myths to end with. It is important that you know what the cultural myths are. So bring this one down. 2 minutes, and then I'm finished. Cultural myths. Very, very quickly, no more than 2 minutes, the cultural myths will come up, and then that's the end of the presentation. So slideshow from beginning. cultural myths. Here they are. 2 minutes of your time is all I'm asking. Chlorella is used by the Asian community. It's a bitter melon or bitter gourd which they use to season up their meat dishes, and they swear by it. And some of them put their medication down and say that's going to cure them. It's a cultural myth. Herbal remedies is another cultural myth. I am not going to stand here and poo-poo and rubbish herbal remedies. When I was growing up as a child, herbal remedies was part and parcel of, if I had a fever, my grandmother wouldn't give me Cafanol or Panadol or Fenzik. She would send me out there to go get some bush, certain type of bush. And when she done boil the bush and rub me up, me right as rain the next day to go to school. And let me tell you one thing my grandmother did. Once when I was about 8 or 9, a maca went in my foot. She said, me forgot get a green banana. And she scraped the green banana, some of you must know this one, with the kerosene oil. And she wrapped it around my foot and sent me to my bed. Next morning when me wake up, the thorn or the maca that was embedded in my foot, no in there no more, it upon the banana skin that she had wrapped. So we can't sit down here and think, well, all these old people and their old wives' tales and so on. We can't poo-poo them. There are still herbal remedies. One out here at the moment, me here, which wasn't when I was around, called merengue. People swear by it. But you have to decide which herbal remedies are good for you and which are not good. Aloe vera, tuna, Cinco Bible, etc. Now let me just ask this. Coming to an answer, diabetes is a touch of sugar. Hands up those who agree with that. Well, thank God no hand no go, because me doing this 12 years now, and sometimes in England, somebody put their hand up. They say, what the hell, me was here talking for an hour and a half about this thing, and you still come putting your hand up saying diabetes is just a touch of sugar. We all know it isn't. Next, and then, by the way, me like white people, don't get me wrong, but white sugar, white flour, white bread is a no-no. So some of you who every week in out buy hard-dough bread, no have got to stop eating all this hard-dough bread. In our house, hard-dough bread come in at Christmas, Easter, and Independence. 3 times a year. And the hard-dough bread in Britain now, they all have put sugar in it, so it doesn't have the nice taste that it used to have. You know? Stop eating all this hard-dough bread and go for granary bread, go for brown bread, bread with seeds and granary and so on, and rye bread. There are other types of bread out there. Or sourdough bread is another one which you can have if you can get it over here. Now, sometimes you will see the woman and a man walking down the avenue, the lane or what have you, or the roadside. The man is skinny like me, or even smaller than me. Next to him is his queen, his duchess, or his princess. And I say, and then they will say, yes, me can't come on. Look for my missus, look for my girlfriend, my wife or so on. In some communities, they deliberately feed up their women folk to be that size. That is a recipe for disaster. Big is not beautiful, less is more. I mean, I said no more about that, okay? Oh, diabetes is an old person's condition. What's the first thing about? Is that so now? Back in back in the 1960s, yes, I would agree. Only old people me used to see get it then. But now, the kids age 12, 13, 14, 15, they're all getting it because of eating the wrong food, they're not doing a physical activity, and parents are not taking control, or grandparents, of their eating habits. Are you with me? Then as for the only for sugar, the pop. When they're not looking, start the pattern early. When they're not looking, and you give them some juice, add some water to it. May beg you, just add some water to it. Because if they get used to that very sweet, may go to Barbados, go to these events. Everything in a Barbados sweet. I say, when you get a, they say, this is how they like it. I say, well, it's a recipe for disaster. Oh, no, I'll go get diabetes. Now, we're coming to an end. A big belly is a sign of a happy marriage. It means the missus feed him well. That's what. And if he go to the street looking mager, they must say, Lord Jesus, the missus now feed him well at all. Eh? That is a recipe for disaster. Let me see how much you are paying attention. What size, that man is about, by the way, is about to have triplets. What size should all women aim for? 31 and a half. But remember, if you're 40, and you ain't going to get down to 31 and a half, try and bring it down from 40 to 38 or 36. What size should all Asian men aim for? And what size should all black men and white men aim for? Black men and white men? Come on, I told you, didn't I? 37. Black men and white men, 37. In some communities, you have them the same when they come visit. Me have to have donuts in my larder, and me have to have the cream cake, and the cupcake, and the this and the that. And you notice the one dege strawberry in there? I would rather see strawberries and oranges and naseberries and satsumas and grapes in the larder than all of that junk food. Are you with me? That is just 3 times a year, okay? Getting diabetes, it's God's will. It's the Holy Bible or the Holy Quran say you're going to get it, so just accept it. No, 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 no. That isn't any Holy Quran or Holy Bible at all. So we have to correct that myth out there. Oh, diabetes, it's just a mild condition. What all this fuss about? It's just a mild condition. Is it a mild condition, ladies and gentlemen? No. And then the last slide says, one more to go. If you have diabetes, you won't be able to find a husband or have children. My stepmother in Canada, she had type 1. It was very difficult for her to conceive, but in her late 40s, she finally conceived and have my half-sister, Julie, who lives in Canada, and she now has 2 children. But yes, it's harder if you have type 1 diabetes and type 2 to conceive. And the last one is, if you have decided to fast for the month of Ramadan, as an Islam person, as a Muslim, if you prick your finger, it means you have broken your fast. Absolute rubbish. So I have to go into those communities and tell them, no, 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 that is not right. And that's the end of the presentation. Thank you very much.
Where is Kay? I wonder where Kay is.
When it was chosen, somebody at the
Pleasure meeting you finally. Okay, so Mr. Kelly, I wonder if we're related. Anyway, on behalf of the pastor, elders, members, as well as the visitors that we have in house, I'd like to thank you wholeheartedly for coming and sharing with us this very insightful presentation. I am sure persons will leave here today with new information, as well as information that they would have known already. You would have resensitized them about it. And I must tell you, we really appreciate it. You traveled all the way from England, you came here, and I'm sure, I'm positive that the persons who are seated in this room will go away with new information. Those who have the disease will know what to do. Medical condition. I stand corrected. As well as those who have family members or friends, as well as we know that there are some things that we need to avoid. And you know, the Seventh-day Adventists, we have the health message, you know. And you know, if we are paying special attention to this message, this medical condition would not exist. where we are concerned. However, it is what it is. So we need to stay active.
Let me just say one other thing with you. I do these events online. So in the new year, immediately, sort of January, February, if you get more people involved and say, let's have Tony do a presentation. Remember, Britain, England is 5 hours ahead. So you can't do 7 o'clock in the evening, because 7 o'clock in the evening is midnight in. But whatever day you choose and say, listen, let's go online. And if you hear it again, there's no harm in you hearing it again. If you're hearing, and you bring your friends and your neighbors and say, come listen to this young man from England. It will teach you what to do. And it will do it, yeah. So I'll leave that with the pastoral team to think of. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much again. All right, now, just before we go, I am going to...
Very quickly, because as I said, yeah, put those. Yes, ask your question quickly, please. Red onions and red. Yeah, it's the same. Yes, it's the same. I call them red onion. Yeah, it's the same.
Okay, thank you all for coming. We are going to pray now to close. And those who plan to go to crusade, you still have time to go to crusade. Or those who are going home, then you have time to go home. And Mr. Kelly and your chauffeur, we wish you a safe journey. We know it's a 3-hour drive to Kingston. And don't fall asleep on the way. Oh, no. My chauffeur is outside. A chauffeur is outside. So don't fall asleep. Sleep when you go home. Yes. All right? So let us all stand for prayer. This is Let us pray. Gracious Father and our God who art in heaven, we thank you for the privilege and opportunity where we can meet together. We thank you for all those who are here. And we thank you for the insight. We have learned a lot about diabetes. This body that you have made is a very complex body. And every day scientists has been researching and finding more ways and means to take care of this body. So help us, dear Father, that we may be submissive and take care of our body, because that's the only great instrument you give us to take care of, to be a good steward. Be with Mr. Tony and his team. Give them a safe journey back to Kingston and back to England. May your Holy Spirit come to abide with us. Dismiss us now, we pray, for Christ's sake. Amen.
Yes.